This is a proud production of ITM Media. Good day to all the Ramblin' About Racing Nation out there. Episode 161 kicking off here. Finally done with Daytona. The NASCAR season and ARCA Series season has finally officially kicked off, and we can't be happier here. I know I'm speaking for a lot of race fans when I say I'm glad it's finally here. We'll get more into Daytona later, but we do have a race car driver joining us today. An ARCA Series driver, I should be more specific to say. Brayton Laster will be joining us, talking about his experience there at the Daytona International Speedway, as well as his career up to this point and future on here. But I'm glad you're here, whether you're on YouTube or your regular podcast platform. Really do appreciate you taking the time to stop by and ramble racing with me, rambling about racing. I love this. I so happy, like I said at the top of the show, that it's finally here. Race season is finally started. Can't be happier. But we're just going to hit right into it. First things first here. As you can see, again, I'm flying solo again. Matt Beamer here, flying solo. Charlie, Austin, and Preston had things to do, but rest assured, hopefully, and it's more my fault, I think, because of the time schedule difference, especially Eastern to Central time. Hopefully, they'll be here next week. The whole crew will be here because we got a very special guest next week. Stay tuned until the end of the episode to hear who that is. But we're going to go ahead and kick into a Daytona here for NASCAR, the opening salvo, I should say, for the race weekend. And overall, I'm just going to go ahead and say the race weekend was meh. A lot of people on social media were complaining about the commercials. And quite frankly, the commercials, I mean, it gives you time to take care of some stuff, go get another beer, go get some food, go to the bathroom, whatever it is. But I get people is upset about it. At least do it side by side. But at the same time, who else is going to foot the bill? I'm sure airing NASCAR on TV is very expensive. Can't blame Fox or NBC Sports for that one. It is what it is. Commercials are going to be a part of life, just like in baseball. Although in the middle of a pitch, they don't cut to commercial. They usually wait till the middle of the inning to do that. It is what it is, guys. I don't think there's really much we could do about it. But let us know what you think the solution would be to that using hashtag what you think ITM. I think a dedicated payment subscription plan, like a streaming plan, like maybe on Peacock or something, to give you full access to that, flag to flag without commercials, would be beneficial. I mean, I'm sure many people will pay $50 a year to do that, but I don't know what the numbers would be. We'll just, I mean, a streaming plan for that one. I know Amazon's talking about coming on board. Maybe that's going to be the ticket for this solution here, but I'm not here to, because I don't care. I don't care. The commercials don't bother me. It is what it is. We've had them ever since the dawn of NASCAR on TV. But we're going to be talking about the truck race. The rain shortened truck race was unfortunate. It was unfortunate to see that because it was heating up to be a good race. Zane Smith goes back to back at Daytona, winning that race. And unfortunately, the Xfinity and Cup race were one and the same, a crash on the final lap and having to be determined by the time of caution, with Austin Hill taking the victory there in the Xfinity Series, going back to back at Daytona. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. winning his first Daytona 500, first for JGD Jordy since, I believe they said, Watkins Glen with AJ Allmendinger. And I happened to be there for that race along with Charlie Hercus and my wife. But congratulations to that team. That organization deserved it. I mean, Penske looks strong. Who looked strong to me was RFK looked strong, and I thought they were going to do it again. Unfortunate circumstances took out both Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski there towards the latter part of the race. Kyle Busch getting caught up in another accident with RCR, was really hoping he'd take care of business right there and knock it out of the park. It just wasn't meant to be, though, folks, and needless to say, I can't wait till Auto Club coming up here, where we're going to see the Xfinity and not trucks, but trucks are off this week. But the Xfinity and Cup will be going to Auto Club Speedway this upcoming week. I'll give you my breakdown of that race because I think it's going to be a better race than Daytona was, because it's one of those races where people get spread out and cars that you normally see up front are the powerhouse swingers are going to be up front there in that race. And it's going to be a fun race. We're going right back to Southern California after seeing what the Clash could do there. Hopefully some fans migrate over there from the Clash to the Auto Club Speedway before it is reconfigured into a short track. Not a big fan of that, and a lot of people aren't big fans of that. But hey, overall majority of NASCAR fans want short tracks. Careful what you wish for, because a track that you might like will be reconfigured or taken off the schedule completely to make way for what the majority want. So careful what you wish for, folks. That's all I'm going to say on that one. But Auto Club Speedway, upcoming races here for the Xfinity and Cup. Saturday, February 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on FS1 will be the Xfinity race. And Sunday, February 26th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox will be the Cup race. My picks for that one, I think you're going to see Junior Motorsports back up there in dominating fashion after a disappointing finish at Daytona. But I think Brandon Jones is going to score his first victory with that organization, his brand new team with Junior Motorsports there. Brandon Jones gets it done in the Xfinity Series. And my money's going to be on Hendrick for this week for the Cup Series, more specifically, Alex Bowman. He's won there before. I think Alex Bowman does it. He's kind of one of those guys who isn't flashy, but he's there when it counts. Bowman gets it done for me. I don't have picks for anybody else as far as Charlie, Austin, or Preston. I'm sorry about that. It is what it is. But hey, there's nothing I can do about it. But hey, again, glad you're joining us. We're getting ready to bring Brayton Laster on. So we're going to go ahead and get him on and get to Heyman. Folks, before we continue on with the start of Season 5 of Ramblin' About Racing, I wanted to remind everyone out there about our online stores at Teespring and Bonfire, where you can find the latest and greatest Ramblin' About Racing gear, such as T-shirts like the one I have on, hoodies, hats, or anyone but lineup exclusively at Bonfire, and so much more. Pint glasses for your beers and everything like that. Just head over to ramblinaboutracing.com under the stores tab, and there you can find the links to both Teespring and Bonfire. Every purchase will help out Ramblin' About Racing, bring you better content and hopefully more content at tracks around the country later on as we get there. So head on over to ramblinaboutracing.com. Links can also be found in the YouTube video below or on your podcast subscription on your regular podcast platform below. Again, all proceeds help out Ramblin' About Racing, bring you better content in the future.
Hey, man. Hey, man.
All right, now on here on Ramblin' About Racing, joined by Brayton Laster, driver to 03 Ford for Mullen Autosports.
Mullins Racing. It depends where you look. The Daytona, like the book they have at Daytona, says Mullins Autosport.
Okay.
But the official name is Mullins Racing. But
Mullins Racing, the 03 Ford by Mullins Racing, and this session of Hey Man presented by Devo's Outdoor Lighting. Head over to ramblinaboutracing.com under the sponsors tab, or head over to devosoutdoor.com for your outdoor lighting needs. Use code Ramblin for 10% off for all your outdoor lighting needs, or maybe short track lighting needs, whatever you need there, Brayton. But yeah, joined here by Brayton Laster. Just finished a race in Daytona, and
finish is a strong word.
It was an interesting race, up and down race down there. But you're one of the few people we've talked to that actually race on that historic track here at the Daytona International Speedway. Mm-hmm. Very interesting, man. So, since we're just got finished talking about this last weekend of racing in all 4 series, ARCA, NASCAR, Trucks, Xfinity Cup. How was it down there, man?
Yeah, the weather was great. It was some cooler weather. As far as the racing went, it was definitely up and down for us. It started out strong. We were 14th in practice, and that was only we had a 50-minute practice session on Thursday. and we weren't going to really push too hard or anything down there. It's just practice. Here's the thing about ARCA, and, running with a bit of a smaller underdog team, is we didn't really have a backup car, like, at all. So if I just scored my car in practice, that would have been my race weekend over. So we went out there, we ran, 10, 15 laps, and it was just me, one other car, and we ended up 14th out of 34 on the practice chart. So we were very proud of that.
All right.
And qualifying, ARCA does group qualifying. I don't know why we do group qualifying. Cup did it a couple years ago. And
total disaster. Disaster.
And here's the fun thing with ARCA is it's random group qualifying. So it's not like you have an hour to go do it. You have 4 minutes and you get set in a random group of 5 to 7 cars. And how it goes is like the first group will go out, they'll line up on pit road, and they'll start a 4-minute clock and have 4 minutes. And wherever you are when the 4 minutes ends, that's it. So as many laps as you can get done in 4 minutes, pretty much.
Okay.
And we had, I feel like, the best group in qualifying. Like I said, it's all random, and 6 of our 7 cars in our group were very stout pieces of equipment. I mean, we had Venturini, which is a lead Toyota team. We have Rev Racing, which is a lead Chevy team. You had Gage Rogers and Sean Core, who are both very fast. And you had me and my teammate, Big Willie Mullins, who has a very, very fast Chevrolet. That's something, too, fun about ARCA, is my teammate's a Chevy and I'm in a Ford, which is kind of wacky.
That does sound a bit wacky right there.
Yeah, and their short track cars are Toyota. So,
okay. We had the same thing with Austin Terrio. Austin Terrio had the same thing. He bounced around from manufacturer to manufacturer here when he was on last year. But yeah, go on. I apologize.
No, fine. So we had a very stout group. There wasn't really any other groups that had more than 3 to 4 really good cars, and we had about 5, 6 really, really great cars. And so we're all lined up, and you try to make a plan ahead of time in the garage area on who's going to lead, who's going to tail. And we had this order that Jack Wood was going to lead. That Jack Wood was going to lead us out, followed by Amber Balkian. The 15 car.
Amber.
Amber. Sean Core, Big Willie, myself, and Gage Rogers. And with the plan with me being kind of in the back is me, Big Willie, and Sean and Gage could kind of get fall back a little bit, go into 3 and get good suck up. So 4-minute timer begins.
But does it begin at the start finish line or right when you guys roll off pit road?
Right when we're off pit road.
Okay.
So that 4 minutes is like getting up to speed is part of that 4 minutes. So you'll realistically only set about 2 laps at speed.
Right.
And so we're going about 400 or 500 feet out of pit road. We're going into turn 1. Like I said, I'm at the tail end. And we're still all playing catch up, getting through the gears. And I see some smoke from the lead car of Jack Wood. I'm like, okay, just some tire smoke, no big deal. And then all of a sudden, I see Amber's car just explodes in smoke. I'm like, we got a problem. And I see Sean Core's car take a hard left. It's basically pop a 180, start spinning in the field. And that's when I puckered up, like pucker factor, maximum Zulu. And I realized that they're blowing up. So we had 2 cars sit here blow up, basically. We had a car destroy a splitter going through the infield. And after the 45-minute red flag, which we made it through somehow, me and Willie and Brad Smith, who's it's a mediocre car. He couldn't really keep up with us in the draft that much. And Gage Rogers. So we're down to 4 of their original 7. Only really 3 good cars.
Right.
We're like, okay, we're already at disadvantage because other groups have 5, 6 cars. We're down to 3. We'll take it. And so they clean that all up, and and here's the thing: it's like the 15 seconds we were like rolling out that counts for the 4 minutes. So we're down to 3 minutes 45 seconds. We go down pit road. We sit there. We wait 45 minutes for them to clean it up. Get the green light again, and this time, one of the cars behind us, Gage Rogers, he breaks his drive line pulling out of the pits. I believe that's how it happened. So they throw in our caution. We waste 20 more seconds. And now it's down to me, my teammate Big Willie, and Brad Smith, who can't really keep up with us in the draft. He's a big underdog in ARCA. So it's basically me and my teammate. And we went out there qualified 20th and 21st out of 39 cars against people that had like 4 or 5 cars in their pack. So we were already kind of at disadvantage. We should have qualified somewhere in the top 10. And from there, the whole race just was a fiasco. We'd pick the top line, and the top line would lose momentum, and then we'd get a caution. Then we'd restart in the bottom. The bottom would get a terrible restart. We'd fall back 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots, and we'd get a caution. About 15 to go, we got some nose damage. ultimately ended any chances of us being competitive. We started running a little hot there. I went from about 24th to 11th in 2 laps. You had to restart with about 15 to go. Both top lines check up. And this is after going from the back to the front, back to the front, back to the front the whole race. And so I'm like, it's 15 to go. It's go time. I get some nose damage. I didn't know it yet. And I'm from, like I said, both top lane check up. I'm like 2 wheels on the apron passing people. Like we're 3-4 wide. I'm not taking any prisoners at this point. And I somehow make it through. And like I said, past like 14 cars. It was insane. Greatest moment of my life. I felt like a Dale Earnhardt out there. And I get left out front, like leading a pack. And with that nose damage, it's like a parachute. Just drags back, and we start losing fuel pressure, start running hot. Motor starts to kind of bog down because we're running hot. And unfortunately, it delegated us to a 27th place finish. But car's somewhat in one piece. Nose is a little, need some Bondo duct tape on a lot of zip ties, but or new nose. But yeah, but we'll take it. We got a lot of good experience.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it. And you were featured on TV. I was watching the race, and I saw you right there on TV with that famous pizza helmet that we all see on Twitter and all your social media platforms. Take us to that, because I'm a pizza fan myself, and ask anybody in the firehouse, and pizza is always an option for me. Yeah, your love for pizza, man. I mean, it goes even beyond what I think I could even do. I mean, you love pizza, man.
Well, yeah, it kind of started out as a joke. Like growing up, I was like the chubby, nerdy kid that sat in the corner and ate pizza and played with his Pokemon cards. And so, just growing up through middle school, people were like, the pizza kid. Hey, the pizza. I had pizza shoes and pizza pants and pizza backpack. And about 5-6 years ago, my mom had a helmet that was custom, like dipped, as like it looked like pizza, very similar to the helmet I have now. And I'm like, oh, this is cool, because it takes something I'm passionate about. I love pizza growing up.
Oh yeah.
And I take something I'm passionate about. I make it a part of my personality, which I didn't mind, and I kind of combine it with racing. And then everybody has a story with pizza. You can relate to pizza. You can at least have some. Everyone has had some interaction with pizza at some point in their lives. So it's relatable. And so it kind of became more of a, hey, here's who I am. So you can kind of just look at me and immediately, like, I like this kid. I can relate to this kid. I hate this kid. This kid hates pizza, or this kid likes pizza. I hate him. You quickly see more than just a helmet. And so it kind of started as a joke, and it kind of became my personality. Now it's what I'm known for.
No, it's fine, because that's why I don't know who followed who first on Twitter, if you followed me or I followed you, but that definitely caught me. Like, oh, this guy likes pizza. I like pizza. I'll follow him. And right there's the commonality right there. Hey, real quick here, before we keep moving on here, you were lit up like a Christmas tree right there, and now you're not. I can barely see you on my end. Just want to make sure. There, okay, that's better. If that's good for you,
you're perfect.
Okay. I want my audience to see you there. I want to make sure you're good there, Brayton. Okay, so going back to the start of your career, started racing go-karts in Indianapolis at the age of 4. Tell us about that, because I know you're following in your dad's footsteps. Tell us a little bit about your dad, actually.
Yeah, so my dad, he kind of was like one like hobby, like street stock Saturday night type racers. He grew up working on cars in the 80s, the 70s, and 80s as like a late teenager. And figure eight racing is a big thing around Indianapolis. I don't know if you realize that or people realize that, but like outlaw figure eight racing, where you race in the shape of an X, or an 8, and you have an X, you have an intersection in the middle. Yeah. You have to like drive through the intersection. That's a huge deal. I mean, we have full blown outlaw light models here, and we have a 3-hour long figure eight race as our road championship. It's huge. And so my dad kind of got started working on those in the late 70s, early 80s.
Right.
And he sponsored a lot of cars out at the Indianapolis Speedrome. And when it was about the mid 90s, like, yeah, man, I'm tired of helping people. I'm tired of paying people his rides. He's like, I'm gonna go racing myself. And so he started racing himself in about I believe it was like the mid 90s or so. Or the early 2000s, and he ran Hornets and front wheel drives, and somebody had like a Torino he raced, and then he raced some outlaw figure eight stuff. And he'd always have cars in the driveway or the backyard. And little old Brayton over here would go out there to have a hammer that could be beating on the wheels, the bodies, doing whatever I could. I was born into it. That's all I already knew growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was old enough to walk, basically, I was like, all right, Dad, put me out there, coach. And put me in. And we just moved up the ranks ever since. Like we were talking about my first start in go-karts. Didn't really go that hot. I went out there, I got wrecked, and I'm like, all right, Dad, I'm retiring. And
one and done.
That was it. I was one and done.
Yeah.
Barely made it past the heat race. Like, we're one and done. We're calling it there. And hang the fire seat up for a couple years. And then I'm like, all right, Dad, you know what? Let's try one more time. Let's try it one more time and see what happens. Lucky we stuck with it that time.
Right.
And I moved up through, I was racing street stocks and Thunder cars when I was 12 years old. I had a 1977 Ford Thunderbird. It was awesome.
Very nice.
And I was racing against people like 30, 40, 50, even 60 years old. Some of these guys were. And then I ran, some outlaw figure eight stuff. And I ran starting in 2018. I was 15 years old. I made the move to dirt. And dirt's, big around the Midwest, especially late models and sprint cars in Indiana. And I've never been a big sprint car person, but we made the move to dirt late models and the Brownstown Speedway here in Brownstown, Indiana. Notorious track, one of the top 10 tracks constant in the country for, there's a magazine that ranks dirt tracks. It's so many top 10 or top 15. And we went down there, and we didn't really know what we were doing. We got an old dirt car, like a 20-year-old chassis, threw our little 383 in it, and we're like, all right, we're gonna go eat. We're gonna see what we can do. And I got top 10 in points and rookie of the year down there, which is really neat. And that's kind of where we've been past 4 or 5 years, focusing primarily on dirt stuff. And running some asphalt stuff here and there. And in the past year or so, we made the move to NASCAR and ARCA. I'm running, this is now, I've ran 3 ARCA Series races, 2 at Daytona, 1 at Talladega. And then I made my NASCAR truck debut last year at Knoxville.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the NASCAR truck debut, but I'm going to start off with this. A lot of people who start off in Indianapolis are exposed to open wheel racing, mainly Indy Car racing, yet you focus mainly, it looks like, on the path towards NASCAR stock cars. I mean, was there ever a thought of going open wheel racing?
No.
Car racing?
I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'3" to begin with.
You're 6'3" right now at 20 years old.
Yes.
Holy cow, dude!
I barely fit in an ARCA car, let alone an open wheel, let alone like an Indy car or anything. So it's definitely, it was never really, and growing up, I was always the tallest kid in the class. I'm like, well, he's like, we can put in quarter midgets, but they're a little too big for quarter midgets. And
you can play basketball, if anything.
I mean, I tried that for a couple years. I sucked at it. So that's what we did between the first race and the second race. I had that couple year retirement area. That's how we went and we tried basketball.
Got it.
and this is going to sound terrible, but I've only been to IMS 2 times in my life. I live 30 minutes from it, 25 minutes from it. And I've only watched one Indy 500 in person.
More than me.
And that was actually this past year, too. So it was kind of, my dad grew up, being a big IndyCar guy growing up. He grew up on the south side. And I was never kind of really introduced into it, kind of. I mean, I watched on TV, but we'd always be, my grandpa would always be watching NASCAR. And, we'd go over to my grandpa's or my grandparents' house, and they'd have NASCAR on. I'm like, NASCAR. And, I kind of grew up around the stock car scene more than the open wheel scene. Like the speed run, my home track on the asphalt side, it was always, they very rarely had midgets or sprint cars there. It was always street stocks or, late models or stuff like that. It was never really on the open wheel side of things.
Right. I mean, if it helps any, I've only been to Indianapolis Motor Speedway once, and that was in 2004 for the Formula One United States Grand Prix. But I got to see Michael Schumacher win. That was a pretty impressive.
Wasn't the one that had 6 cars?
That was the following year in 05. This year, that year I went 04 was the one where Ralph Schumacher wrecked and broke his back coming out of the final turn right there. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. I won't forget that anytime soon. But now moving up to the truck series, we're going to talk about your truck series because this name comes up a lot on my podcast. A lot of drivers I have here filter through this particular team, Rayun Brothers Racing. We in fact had Josh on very early when we started this show. We've had drivers like Brian Barnhill, Jesse Awuji on. and now, Howie Desivino on? No, not Howie. What's his name? Missoula.
Mhm.
I forget. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. But
Yeah.
you're the fifth driver on that's worked with Brayton Brothers
Yep.
Racing, and that's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
I've met Josh at Darlington, great guy.
Awesome guy.
I finally introduced myself because I never met him up until that point, but yet I still text him from time to time. If great guy, he seems like a pipeline for anybody who wants to make their way in racing. He gives people chances, which is
Yes.
awesome. So how did you come? Did you race ARCA and then get
Yeah, so
or how did this process go?
that whole deal was kind of I don't want to say fluke, but it was kind of a fluke. It mainly originated, I ran the ARCA Daytona, I ran the ARCA Talladega last year,
Mhm.
and with I ran both races with the Mullins, and Brad Perez, who runs an Xfinity, and he's run trucks for Josh too, but he runs Xfinity for Emily and Gage on a lot of the road course stuff, but he works with the Mullins a lot on the ARCA side, and he he's either a crew guy or crew chief for tire guy, and he's been a tire guy for a lot of the Cup teams, and I'm sorry, a lot of the truck teams and Xfinity teams. And he's known well throughout the garage. And he kind of became a good friend of mine starting last year. I worked with him a lot at Daytona. And ARCA has a test every January as well, 2-day test. And he was one of the Mullins' test drivers last year. So that's when I really initially met him. And he made his debut at Sonoma with Ramblin Brothers Racing. And like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, hey, Dad, what do you think about maybe seeing we can put something together for, the Knoxville race? Because, I grew up on dirt. Well, I didn't grow up on dirt, but I've been running dirt the past 4 or 5 years, like I said
Right,
earlier. And we're like, and the original plan was we were going to run the IRP. Because that's, hometown hero, Brayton Laster. I live 45 minutes from my IRP.
right.
It'd be really cool if we can go and do that. So we reached out to him originally about running IRP. He's like, well, the thing with that is it's the first race of playoffs, and we don't want to make your series debut during a playoff race, and this and that, and this and that. I'm like, okay, how about Knoxville? I'll do Knoxville for you. And so we went, we called, everybody would know, hey, we're trying to do this cool thing. We'll kind of help out. We'll help, we're doing a cool thing. It's Knoxville, man. It's a truck series. And we were able to raise enough funding and, put a lot of sponsorship together to go run Knoxville. And we ran, I believe, 27th in that race. We qualified 31st. Which is really neat because Knoxville has heat races, and I got a race against Norm Benning. Me and Norm were side by side for a good majority of that heat race, and it was me or him. Either I beat him and went home, or he beat me and I went home. So it was whoever beat who, and we were duking up. We were throwing sliders here and there a little bit, and it kind of sucks because Norm Benning is someone I look up to a lot. Especially, kind of that grassroots type of background. And we sent him home, sadly. And I ran a clean race. I finished 27th, like I said. I mean, not a scratch on the truck. I think it was one of the better Rayon brother finishes that year outside of
Right.
road courses. So we felt pretty good about that. It's always good when you can load up a truck without any scratches on it. Right? I mean,
Right.
it was no scratches, no dents. And then, unfortunately, we didn't get approved to actually run the IRP race. I didn't have enough asphalt experience to
Okay. Yeah.
run, during the playoffs and all that. So we're like, we'll take it, I guess. But
Right. And talking to John Garrett last week, he said if you're qualified, if you're eligible to run ARCA, you can run anything in ARCA. You
mhm,
don't have to have an X amount of experience or whatever. Hence the reason why he's running full time in the ARCA series this
mhm,
year, and he was able to do that via a Daytona test.
mhm.
But now talking about ARCA, man, I mean, 2 starts last year. This year, is it a full-time ride this year, or is it a part-time schedule? What's the deal with this year?
Yeah, so I'm not fortunate enough to have a dad or an uncle or a cousin or a brother in a Fortune 500 company. I don't have a special last name or anything like that, so our funding is definitely always a little tight, and we typically have to go in here and raise sponsorship, good dollar for dollars and email, and build a presence and build a brand to go out here and kind of raise money for these races. So full schedule is sadly not on our plate or our table right now. But we're always kind of throwing deals together. Like I said, IRP, Knoxville, and especially Knoxville was a super last minute deal we were able to put together. So it could. I don't know who it'd be with. I don't know where it'd come from. Unless if we go win the lottery tonight, who knows might happen. But we just kind of take them as we go. the plan as of now, I believe, is to run Talladega, and hopefully maybe some short track stuff later in the season. Right now, we are planning on running some asphalt super late model stuff to kind of go ahead and get that bigger small track asphalt experience. I'll be running the Rattler at South Alabama Speedway.
Okay. Well, check this out. Check this out. One of my buddies, and unfortunately he couldn't make it tonight, Charlie Hercus, races down there in South Alabama Speedway.
Okay.
In the Cup Light Series. So when you go down there, I think it's in March?
Yep, March.
It's in March.
I want to say 18th.
He will be there in the Cup Light Series. He's running the 83 Cup Light car. Look for him and tell him. I mean, he'll have him and his buddy Austin are co-hosts of the show. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it. My goodness, I'm getting my names mixed up here. Charlie started a new job, and his hours aren't fitting with the schedule of the show right now, and that's on me. I got to fix that. Austin is a roofer, and his wife just had twins, and so he's busy with that.
Yeah.
Go down there, look for them. They're usually in the pits. Look for them, and they'll take care of you, buddy. But that's awesome, man. The Rattler, big race, Cup company, big late model race. A lot of drivers, Grant and Fingers have raced in there. A lot of drivers really show their muscle in that race. I mean, I feel like maybe that race, you do well in that race. That'll propel you for ARCA. Hey, I'm an ARCA Series driver. I'm an ARCA Series. You could sell that. Hey, don't just look at late models. Look at me in the national stage. ARCA, maybe Brayton Brothers can get the trucks. I mean, South Alabama is very underrated, especially that race, the Rattler 250. Very underrated.
Big race
here. Very underrated, especially in the late model. I mean, big in the late models, but in the grand scheme of things, it's very underrated, I feel, because, I mean, a lot of names have come from there. A lot of names. And I feel like if you have a shot to win that and even compete in that, your name's already up there. Hey,
yeah.
Rattler 250, man. That's awesome, man. Well, that's great. I wish Charlie and Austin were here.
I know. The one night they're not here.
I know. The scheduling has been messed up here the past couple of weeks here, and that's on me. That's on me. Whatever. But that's awesome, man. I'll definitely give you their contact information and tell them to reach out to you, and you reach out to them most definitely, because it's well worth at least getting the couple guys. And I mean, Charlie's a driver. He's a Cup Light Series driver. He's trying. I mean, he's in his mid-30s right now, but he's still trying to make it, man. I mean, look at John Garrett, one of the oldest guys we've had on the show, but he's now an ARCA Series full-time driver. I mean, never give up on your dreams there, man. That goes with anybody, but never, especially you never know. That's awesome. So you're planning to run the Rattler. And just to fill gaps between Daytona and then Talladega, because I know Phoenix is coming up.
Yep.
You'd love to run Phoenix.
Love to. But it's like I said, it's a come as we go, pretty much. If someone calls me like, "Hey, Brayton, you want to come run Phoenix for me all week?" Yeah, sure, why not? We'll do it. But like I said, this is racing. This is motorsports. I don't have the rich dad, uncle, cousin, brother, sister, aunt, moms. I don't have that rich family member to Fortune 500 company.
And if I were you, and I don't know if you have or not, reach out to Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's. I mean, reach out. I'm the pizza guy, man. I got the helmet.
I'm that guy, yeah.
You're that guy, man. I mean, reach out to those big pizza guys. DiGiorno. I mean, I'm just, if it was me in your shoes, I'd be like, dude, I already got the helmet.
Yeah. I mean, that's like free publicity.
That's free. I mean, right there, you got your marketing. You got your market right there. And that'd be pretty cool. That's just me. Talking about that, so you're doing your late model stuff right there. And I know while doing some research on you, I noticed that you did a 24-hour race. You were the first driver ever to compete a 24-hour race in iRacing. And I got to know, man, because I race myself, man, and I cannot sit there for more than 2 hours and it's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
24 hours at Martinsville, and it looked like the Mazda cars.
Yeah, and the Miata.
That's impressive in itself. For one, I wouldn't have done it. I don't know. Yeah, how'd you do that, man? Or what?
I don't know how I did it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember much of that race. I remember taking out my teammate with 45 minutes left. And here's how bad it was. It was for charity. I believe it was for Toys for Tots. That's kind of they have everyone. It's a third running of that event. It was a Moon Car 24, which
Right.
put together by Travis Moonhead Brown, who's a pretty big figure in the iRacing community and with Moon Car and all that. And it was my first year doing it, and I was talking to Travis. I'm like, "Hey man, has anyone ever 24 slow load it?" He goes, "We've had 2 people attempt it. One dude's like computer died halfway through, and one dude just got sick and had to go bring in groceries and just quit." I'm like, "I'm your guy, pal. I'm your guy."
Well, you were.
And
Yeah. Uh-oh.
we just dropped the microphone. We're good. We're good.
It happens, man.
And my duct tape was a little goofy. And so I'm like, "I'm your guy, pal. I'm your guy." And I had a lot of friends. I live streamed the whole thing. So I was talking to people on Twitch. I had karaoke night going. I'm over here rocking out. I didn't remember. I'm rocking out the whole time. I got coffee going. And the good news about the Mazda Miata is that's like a minute-long pit stops. So pit stop, I go do a pit stop. Like it was we had a sync going there. And it was, I knew it was bad when I looked over the clock. And we were like 18 hours into the race. And I'm streaming it, like I said. I looked at my stream. I saw my webcam. I saw sunlight in my webcam. And I turned around. I'm like, "Oh, the sun's out." Because it started like 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, "Man, the sun." I'm like, "It's 2 o'clock. I've been doing this for like 18 hours. The sun's been up for like 7." I'm like, I started losing my mind at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't remember, like I said, I don't remember much. I knew I was there. I've gone back and I've watched videos of me wrecking. I don't remember me wrecking. I remember about the last 2 or 3 hours, and I was like a zombie for most of it. But I had fun. Of all I do remember. I could have honestly, I felt like we were on pace for top 15, but it was like, to get wrecked, and it was especially like the last half of the race. I wasn't really pushing it that hard. I'm like, if I got wrecked, I'm like, 3-minute tow, go to the bathroom, walk around for a couple minutes, get right back in it. It was something.
Oh, yeah, it sounded like it, man, just based on that. I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done it. I can't do all-nighters anymore, man. I used to. When I was your age, all night, it doesn't matter when and where. All night, I could hang. But once you wait 16 years, 17 years, and you'll realize
I'll get back to that, how it's going.
Look back on this and go, he was right.
Yep.
I mean, hate to say it, man. He was right. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not, but yeah, I think that time we'll do it. But talking about sponsorship here, you're looking for sponsors. How do you go about it? What do you do? I mean, how do you sell yourself? I mean, if I was a sponsor, a potential sponsor, how would you sell yourself to me? I mean, what would you say?
Well, I say,
or for any potential sponsors out there listening.
So my personality, I think, is my selling point. You see a lot of drivers right now, they don't have a personality. They're like a robot. It's like talking to a rock in the ground. I'm kind of known for having this goofy personality. And then I'm serious. I need to be serious on the track. I'm serious out there on track. But back here, I've kind of created like a brand and image for myself, and it shows my social media. Like I've never really been big on social media, but in the past 11 or so, 12 months, I've already established a good fan base. I've acquired over 20,000 followers on TikTok, and I believe we're at like 30,000 followers across all social media. But we had 12 million people reached, like 12 million, impressions last year, which for like a smaller tier driver like me is huge. I mean, that's 12 million people.
Absolutely.
Like that. I take probably top 2-3% of all drivers in motorsports. So it kind of become, I've been able to go here and build a brand, build an image behind myself. And we had a lot of great people hop on board for Daytona. We actually got kind of left in the dust. Here's the sad thing about motorsports is we had our primary sponsor backed out with about 6 weeks before Daytona, and so we were calling people, we're dialing for dollars, and we're going through all these books and different websites to try and find different companies that might be interested. And we had All Pro Mold Testers, ironically, was my primary for Daytona, and they reached out via TikTok. They found me through TikTok. And I post all kinds of, behind the scenes of, me working the dirt cars. And here's something too, I build all of our motors for the dirt car stuff. You go try to find a driver that builds his own race car motors, and so it's me, one other guy that works on all of our setups and building stuff, and I post behind the scenes videos. And we're down at the Daytona test in January. I posted a video of me, walking through the pits and driving on track. And it's like, hey, man, you guys looking for sponsorship? I'm like, sponsorship is always appreciated. And so we got in contact and becoming our primary. So we're very excited. We're working with, his name is Shane. We're very excited. We're working with him down the road. And then we had a bunch of other local companies like BH Bun. They have little tying machines that you can, tie a knot around your finger. You have a giant boxes, like shipping boxes. You can put them in as ties and knot. AM Manufacturing, they make machines to kind of, for pizza dough, they kind of like round and shape the dough instead of having so much here, kind of toss it and do this and that. So it really speeds up that process. And all a bunch of other mom and pop shops. And if you look at our scheme, we call it the mom and pop special, because we had over 45 companies and over 200 individual people contribute to our Daytona efforts. And so it was kind of neat being able to give these mom and pop shops, these NASCAR fans, they have no idea what NASCAR is, but they want to be a part of it, kind of give them opportunity to go on board and whatnot with that whole presence. So it's really neat. And, they'll tell you something I just told you. My personality is what stands out. You see people, you see drivers just go sit in the hall or all practice or all throughout the weekend. I went in the fan zone. I hanged out in the fan zone for a couple hours and met and mingled with fans and made a lot of new fans. And I'm on Twitter talking to people. I'm on Discord. I'm on Instagram, constantly chatting with people, and people, they can relate to me. Christopher Bell or someone like that, you don't really know much more. And here is his public persona. That's what you know about him. A lot of Cup guys is like that. But me, like, you reach out, I talk to out. Like, if you have questions, I have a lot of kids. Like, hey man, how do I get to their level? How do I get there? And I'll spell it out for them. Like, here's what I did. Here's how good ways to do it. So I think it's kind of a quick but not quick about me, pretty much, and kind of how we've done it so far.
No, I like that. It's real, man, because I feel like you said, any driver, you name a driver in the Cup Series who doesn't get out of the car and automatically, we'll say Chase Elliott, just for instance, because I see his diecast on there on the wall. That was the first one I picked out here. He gets out of the car, and I like to thank Napa, Chevy, all these guys. To me, Formula One drivers are the real drivers. They get out of the car and they don't mention sponsors. They talk about the race. They talk about what happened in the pits or the strategy that was made. Those guys right there are the real, true blue. No kidding. This is who I am, and it sounds like that's who you are too. I'm gonna go back around and say it again, man. DiGiorno's, Pizza Hut, Domino's, man. If you haven't already, man, reach out to
Me
them.
too. Yeah.
Because I feel like that's your ticket to go in there. Even in low name, like a Red Baron, the Tombstone Pizza. Who cares? Get a pizza name on your car, man, because that will be perfect for you, and it will just sell, and you'll be on pizza boxes, man.
That'd be really cool.
I
Fastest delivery driver in the Midwest.
Well, you already got the commercials right there. I know David Ruderman was Domino's a few years ago, and I don't think he holds a candle to you. I don't think, because I feel you, man. I love pizza, or one of those, brick oven pizza companies. Like, man, go for it.
Something, yeah.
Oh, dude, that could be a quarter panel sponsor right there. I'm telling you, man. I think that's it. And I'm sure you've thought of it before, but go for it, dude, man. That's awesome. So you're looking forward to this year. You got Talladega at least in the lineup here. I know it looks like a lot of restrictor plate races or super speedway races are big picture here. But are there any other tracks you're trying to look forward to this season as far as 2023 ARCA Series?
I say I'm not really too sure. Like I said, there's a lot of fun tracks. Flat Rock, Toledo, Berlin, Bristol, Dover, Michigan, Pocono, Kansas twice for some odd reason, Iowa, Milwaukee, IRP.
Yep.
There's all kinds of different. DeCoin and Springfield. If I could pick one track, DeCoin or Springfield, flat, mild, dirt ovals in the ARCA cars.
Okay.
And I think what the ARCA stands out is they've been going to these two dirt tracks forever, and I think that I'd probably do pretty decent there because you don't have that dirt background. But there's nothing like a flat, mild dirt track. especially in the 3,400-pound stock car. So if I could pick one track, it'd definitely be one of those. Or I really want to try Pocono or Michigan.
Yeah, Pocono would be fun.
Just because they're different, they're unique, they're fast. But I'd say probably like a Tacoma Springfield, something unique, something different. Pocono, like I said, a tricky triangle.
Hey man, I hear you. I've been in Pocono a few times as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, I've been there, man. Well, hey, man, we're gonna wrap it up here. It's getting kind of late on my end. I know your end. You're trying to. I know. I wish I could talk to you more. We'll definitely have you back on. But real quick, I got a question for you. I ask every driver, and if you've listened to my show, you'll know. But I mean, maybe not. Maybe you were busy this past week. Say racing was. I mean, say 4-year-old you was never introduced to racing, never got into a car. What would you be? What do you think you'd be doing now? You're 20 years old.
School teacher.
You'd be a school teacher.
I'd be a school teacher.
What subject would you teach?
History.
Oh wow, history buff. I'm a history buff too myself.
And also, history teachers, I feel like, have the easiest jobs in the world because all they teach stuff that's already happened.
Yeah, and I know you're going to Liberty University right now. What are you studying?
Business right now.
Oh, so you're studying business, but you'd be a history teacher if you could. I mean, but that's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So okay, well, I mean, hey man, give us a shout out. Give us your social media plugs where people can find you, look you up if they haven't already. Where can they find you? A good quick sponsor plug and anything like that.
So my Twitter big one is at the one pizza man. Surprise, surprise, I like pizza. My Instagram, where I post a lot of like stupid stuff, is at the one, only the pizza man. Surprise, surprise. My Facebook page, for some of the people that still use Facebook, is just Brayton Laster Motorsports. We have a page there from our dirt stuff to the figure eight asphalt to the ARCA to the truck stuff. We post a lot of stuff on there, and then I'm missing one. TikTok. How can I forget TikTok, man?
That's a big one.
Yeah, that's at Brayton Laster. Nice, simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I posted a lot of stuff, a lot behind the scenes. We talked about that a little bit ago. A lot of behind the scenes videos of either us working on stuff or us painting stuff that we shouldn't be painting, or just racing clips, and a lot of fun stuff that goes on TikTok as well. And I have a website to use, BraytonLaster.com, where our full 2023 schedule will be released eventually in the next couple of weeks. Fingers crossed. I don't know. And fun. And you kind of see my story there. And I just got to give a shout out to my parents. They've
absolutely.
They've sacrificed a lot. My whole family. I got a little sister and older brother too. We've missed a lot of family vacations. We could have probably gone on and whatnot. So I just got to give a shout out to them for kind of putting up with a lot of my BS over the past decade or so. My dad doesn't mind it. My mom, though, she's not a big fan of the whole racing thing. But we're going to make her a fan, I promise.
Well, that's awesome. And all those can be found at ramblinaboutracing.com under the guest section. You'll be right there on it, man. The number 14.
Let's go.
Number 14 on Ramblin' About Racing. And not the last, but definitely, I dare say, the one that stands out the most, at least to me, being a fellow pizza lover, because again, and my catchphrase is pizza's always an option.
Mm-hmm.
Always an option. You can have it the night before, and it's still an option.
Perfect. Put a microwave, it'll be good.
Not even the microwave. Order a whole new pie.
There you go. Yeah, that too.
Why even put it in the microwave? No way, man. Wait. Before we go, now I got to ask you this, man. How do you reheat your pizza?
If I'm in a hurry, like if I'm going to work, I throw it in the microwave. The ideal this is going to sound crazy. Is I like to put in a pan and put water in the pan.
Oh, okay. Here's what I do. I put oil in the pan first, get the crust nice and crispy.
Okay.
Put the water in the pan, cover it up. That melts the cheese. Okay, we're on the same wavelength here. Remember me when you make it big in the Cup Series. I need to get these guys passes. Yeah, okay.
We'll be good.
We'll cross that. Hey, Brayton, man, thank you for taking the time. I know you've been busy, especially with post Daytona and all that stuff. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us this week. It's been a lot of fun. Can't wait to put it out there and hopefully get people to know you better. And we'll definitely have you back on. Hopefully I'll tell Josh about this. Maybe he'll give you a truck series ride here, or truck series race here this year. Hopefully, cool, I hope. Yeah, I'll tell Josh about it, man. I mean, at least I'll throw him the episode that said he spoke highly of you, which you did. And I'll do that, man. But hey, best of luck in 2023. Best of luck at the Rattler. Make sure to go talk to Charlie and Austin.
Will do.
That'd be great for you to meet up with them. And if they're not busy and you're not busy, meet up with them. Maybe you're not 21 yet. I would say have a beer.
Yeah, a couple more months to go.
Yeah, a couple months, man. Just be patient. It's there. Don't worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Best of luck in 2023, man. Again, thank you for being on the show. I can't say that enough. Best of luck, man. And we'll talk to you later.
I appreciate you bringing me on. It was a blast, and see you at the next one.
All right, man. Will do. Before we wrap up today's episode, I wanted to remind everyone out there about a partner that has been with Ramblin' About Racing since we were called In the Marbles Weekly Racing Podcast, and since we were on the Unhinged Sports Network, and that is Fanatics. Fanatics is your one-stop shop for everything NASCAR, for your favorite drivers' t-shirts, hoodies, hats, die-cast, and so much more. But it isn't just NASCAR. I get all my Alabama Crimson Tide gear from there, as well as my Washington Capitals gear there as well. One-stop shop for everything you need, any type of sport you need. Links can be found under the sponsor tab at ramblinaboutracing.com, as well as under the podcast description and YouTube description, depending on whether you're watching or listening to Ramblin' About Racing. Head over there right now and get your favorite sports gear need for this upcoming season.
White flag, white flag. White flag, white flag. White flag. 1 lap to go. 1 lap right here.
Final thoughts here on this week's episode of Ramblin' About Racing. Again, that was Brayton Laster. Make sure to go follow him on all social media platforms. Seeing his career, I feel like it's going to go somewhere, but we'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell when it comes to that. Anything could happen here. And again, sorry, the rest of the guys going to show up this week. Hopefully we'll have him back next week when we have Willie T. Ribb joining us. You won't want to miss that episode. Mark my words, that is going to be a fun episode. But now we get into the final thoughts here of Ramblin' About Racing. And we are going to start off with the fantasy standings for Ramblin' About Racing. 15 people are signed up, although 2 did not participate. So 13 participants here in the Ramblin' About Racing League. And we're going to just read you the lineup following Daytona. Money Team Moon Rovers is now currently in first place with 157 points. S Blades 152, B Nun 3 145. I'm in fourth with 124 points. Smokin' Woody 120, SMR Operations 118, Matt Camper 118. So both are tied for sixth place. Sissy K 109, Super Sumo 32 101, the Sports Stove from the Belly Up Sports Network, 100 points, tied with Chuck 8384, our defending champion, who is sharing 10th points to some. I'm so sorry about that. DraftKings Research Lineup comes in at 12th with 96 points. Grocery Getter 6th with 90 points. So that rounds out from first all the way to 13th for your fantasy leagues for week 1. It's only week 1. Anything could happen. I mean, it's a long race season, and I can't wait to see what the outcome is with that one. And now for this week in NASCAR, February 20th, 1977, Cale Yarborough pulls away from Benny Parsons in the final lap to win his second Daytona 500, short and simple, February 20th, 1977. And we're going to get more of those as we go down the road. Again, sorry, Preston, Austin, and Charlie couldn't be here. Hopefully they'll be here next week. Scheduling's kind of messed up here. Blame it on me, the producer, director, and all that stuff, and the scheduler for the show. Hopefully by next week, it will be fixed, and it will be great to go. Again, next week, Willie T. Ribb will be on the show. Look forward to that. It should be a fun episode here. Well, folks, I got nothing else going on here. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up on this episode of this 3, 2. Well, folks, that's all that we have here this week in NASCAR is done. Fantasy lineups are done. Interviews done. Everything is done. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up for you guys. So for this week's episode of Ramblin About Racing, thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you're joining us on YouTube or your regular podcast platform, really do appreciate you taking this time to stop by and watch us. I'd like to thank our partners for the show, Devos Outdoor Lighting, Extreme Sim Racing, Fanatics, and Stand Up to Cancer for all they do, not only for us here at Ramblin About Racing, but for what they do for Belly Up Sports as well. Make sure to head over to ramblinaboutracing.com to links to all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Like and follow all those and subscribe to YouTube, especially for better content and hopefully more content here in the future. Again, Willie T. Ribs on next week. Thank you again for Brayton Laster for being on the show. For Charlie Hercus, Preston Lood, Austin Reeves, I'm Matt Beamer. Stay safe and have a good rest of the week.